Well, if you didn't like bad news the first couple of weeks, how about some more bad news for Florida State football here on a Monday morning? He's Jeff Cameron. My name is Tom Lang. We're switching places. I've got the driving wheel right now. Here we go down the highway of.
This wouldn't happen if we were driving to Charlotte. I wouldn't. This is not.
No, I don't. But we're driving down the highway of sadness for yet another exit, another road pit stop, at least, with Jaylin Lucas, Florida State running back, being announced out for the season. Suffered an injury against Boston College, undisclosed nature of the injury, but Mike Norvell says he'll be rehabbing the rest of the year. And now Florida State's speed demon weapon is done for the year. Jeff, obviously there's an impact, a significant impact, but we got to discuss it for a few minutes here. It just keeps on getting worse for Florida State.
They do get Hakeem Williams back this week is what it looks like. I would try to add some silver lining to this doom and gloom about getting a player back. But Jaylin was the guy that wowed us all right off the bat when he arrived on campus. The first time we ever saw him, we said that's breathtaking speed, very different than anything else they have. I thought he was going to be an electrifying weapon for them this year. Already in a year where nothing's gone right, you add to the list of woes. It's most unfortunate. I feel bad for the kid, by the way. Obviously, I always think that about a guy who gets hurt because these guys love to play football and, they work all year long to be able to play, and to have it happen in just the second game of the year is particularly brutal. So we wish him well. But, Tom, I thought he was underutilized early on. We saw him right out the gates against Georgia Tech, and he was electrifying. And then they didn't go back to him again really the rest of the game. I feel like he could be a difference maker, could have been a difference maker for you. And again, not much has gone right, but I think he would have been a difference maker moving forward. So it's not like they have a dearth of running backs or options for returners on special teams, but he was a guy that probably changed the scoreboard a little bit, or had a chance to change the scoreboard a little bit as the season went on. He's kind of one of those make you miss one time and he's to the house. I don't really know that they've got too many more guys that are exactly like that.
Yeah, you can count on one hand literally the amount of touches he had. 5 for the season, 2 carries, 13 yards, 3 catches, 39 yards. Special teams work was going to be what it was, but it was the offensive impact here, the potential of that everybody was salivating over the moment that he got on campus. I can think of one of his carries in Dublin because he didn't touch the ball very often, and Mike Norvell basically apologized for that between game 1 and 2, is you have a lead blocker slip and fall, and yet it looks like it's going to be a no-gainer, and Lucas fights for an extra 5 or 6 yards along the sideline, gets Florida State in a manageable situation. For a team that doesn't look very tough to start the season, I thought pound for pound, Jeff, he was one of the toughest guys they had. And that's, again, you're talking about impact as a Swiss Army knife receiver running back type, but they needed a little bit of sandpaper. And it felt like Jaylin Lucas was a guy who could be the sandpaper that they needed. And again, like you're talking about, you isolate a matchup here, you make one guy miss, he's to the house. That they have a lot of speed, but there was so much potential for months and months and months building about what could Jaylin Lucas be? What kind of a matchup nightmare would he be? And now it's what we know, 5 touches, 52 yards for the year.
Yeah, it's 4 not, but they do know that they'll get him back next year. He is just a junior, if I'm not mistaken. Correct. And I believe he's got, actually, after, this could be a medical a medical that he could, hardship that he could use here. Either way, he's got another year, maybe 2.
Correct.
To play for Florida State. Yeah.
As I understand it, it would be 2 or 3 because he doesn't have a redshirt designation on the roster right now. So he's just a junior, which means he hasn't used a medical and he hasn't used a proper red shirt. So
right. Yeah,
not that he would stick around for 3 more years, but he's got multiple years. And
that was the bright spot. Yeah, that's what I was going with there, Tom, was that basically they're going to get him back. Hopefully he'll be playing part of a much more important season. This one feels like a lot of the goals that were on the table may be off the table here. Not completely, not just yet, but it's close. And it's hard not to really feel that gut punch today when you hear that news, because the season's already been rocky to begin with. Then you get this news. But if you're going to latch on to anything, that's a good kid who was a hard worker all throughout camp, really electrified on a daily basis at practice. This is not just one of those, oh, you guys thought everybody was fat. No, he was really fast. Players will tell you that. He was unbelievable. You guys saw at least a glimpse of that. It's just nice to know that you'll get him back, and maybe this team is locked and loaded and ready to go next year, and you'll have his services. But, yeah, man, another blow to a football team that has had a lot of them early in the season. Now, again, that particular position, running back / special teams guy, they've got they've got guys. So it's not like,
Yep.
oh, this was the guy they were going to depend on solely to help change offensive football or special teams. They have other guys, and many that I think might fill in nicely. It's just that you would have liked to have his services because he's uniquely fast.
Correct. I think, at running back, you got a couple of candidates who have blazing speed. Lawrence Toafili was figuring to be a featured part of this offense. They even had a video for him. Doak Campbell saying, is he the best running back on the country? And yet he has hardly touched the ball. But you have speed and dynamicism there from him. If you want to get to specialist side of running back, Sam Singleton's pretty fast as a one cut and go guy. And then true freshman Mekhi Danzy has track speed.
Lightning fast.
He can fit that role at receiver. What's interesting, if you do get Hakeem back and he's able to be the perimeter receiver that you want, look, man, in the spring showcase, they used Jaylen Brown for the exact same plays that they were running to Jaylin Lucas in the jet motions and the things that you would use from a receiving perspective. And Jaylen Brown's not slow either, especially in that type of a setting. So you do have a way to maybe replace a player at receiver for him, separate a player at running back from him. He was 2-1, but they do potentially have options in both places here.
Yeah, and I can hear it now. I mean, I know we've had to deal with this. When you have a run of bad injury luck, fans begin to wonder, what are you doing? More importantly, what are you not doing in terms of your training? But, football is a physical game. It's a collision sport. I bring it up all the time. Some years you somehow get away unscathed, and the war of attrition is in your favor for whatever reason. And other stretches of time, seems like 2 years now, Florida State is on the wrong end of a bunch of injuries. And, it's just the way this game is. I don't think it's anything they're not doing. It's just frustrating when it happens to you. And we all know what that feels like because you're mad to begin with. You get news like this. It's a really difficult thing. Florida State's been dealt a bunch of body blows just 2 games into the season. They had it before week 1. Before in week 0, you find out Hakeem couldn't play with a hamstring problem. And so, now he comes back, which is nice, but you would have loved to have had him through these first 2 games. Obviously, we go back to the spring where you lost a receiver for the season, and you were so frustrated by that because he was a dynamic player as well. Now you lose this guy. It's when it rains, it pours, Tom.
It does, and we'll have more reaction to this. This is recording just after lunchtime. The Jeff Cameron Show is live now in case you're catching this breaking news. Warchant TV live from 1 to 4 today. 1 to 4, 3-hour show, Jeff Cameron Show. And then tonight as well on the channel, the Monday Smash, presented by State Farm agent Russ Forhis. That's at 7 o'clock with team coverage. This will be a big topic, and then also some recruiting coverage as well. So if you want an expanded discussion on the implications of Jaylin Lucas being out for the year, you've got 2 ways to do it from a live perspective right here on Warchant TV. Hit the thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Both absolutely free, and we will talk to you next time. For Jeff, I'm Tom, right here on Warchant TV.